We begin tonight with the race for president. Believe it or not, election night is 3 weeks from tonight, and I'm sure many of you at home can't wait until this is over. Tonight, more than 5 million Americans have already voted in early voting, a record-breaking first day of voting in the battleground of Georgia today. Look at the long lines at many polling stations for in-person voting, this one in the Atlanta suburb of Tucker. Former President Donald Trump campaigning in Atlanta tonight, already making news with an interview earlier today in Chicago, after reports Trump sent COVID testing machines to Vladimir Putin for Putin's personal use as the pandemic was raging here in the U.S., and that Trump has talked with Putin several times after leaving office. Tonight, what Trump is now saying about this, and it's different from the denial he gave our John Carl days ago. Overnight in Pennsylvania, Vice President Harris sounding the alarm about Trump's warning this election that, quote, the military should be called in if necessary to deal with people from within. Harris urging Americans to listen to what Trump is saying. And tonight, she's not the only one. Former members of Trump's administration now coming forward on this, too. And just moments ago, in a live interview with popular radio host Charlamagne the God, what Harris acknowledged about the pressure she's feeling and what she asks herself every night with just 21 days to go. ABC's Rachel Scott leading us off tonight from Georgia.
Tonight in battleground Georgia, records shattered. The first day of early voting in the make-or-break state, bringing 250,000 people to the polls. State officials calling turnout, quote, spectacular.
It looks like this is going to be a record breaker for the first day of early voting.
Tonight, former President Donald Trump, who lost Georgia by just over 11,000 votes in 2020, traveling here to make his case.
Thank you very much.
Earlier, Trump appearing at a meeting of the Economic Club of Chicago. Pressed about whether he's spoken to Russian President Vladimir Putin since leaving the White House, as Bob Woodward reports in his new book. Woodward writes that Trump secretly sent Putin rare COVID testing machines as the pandemic was raging and Americans were desperate to get their hands on tests. And that the two men have spoken up to a half a dozen times since Trump left office, something Trump denied to our John Carl just days ago.
One of the things he said was that you've had a number of conversations with Putin. Is that true? I mean, I imagine that could be.
No?
That's
false.
Oh, really?
That's false.
But tonight, a different answer from Trump.
Can you say yes or no whether you have talked to Vladimir Putin since you stopped being president?
Well, I don't comment on that, but I will tell you that if I did, it's a smart thing. If I'm friendly with people, if I have a relationship with people, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
The former president also pressed about whether there would be a peaceful transfer of power this time, after he urged hundreds of supporters to march to the Capitol on January 6th. Today, Trump insisting it was peaceful last time.
You had a peaceful, very peaceful. I left the morning that I was supposed to leave. I went to Florida, and you had a very peaceful transfer.
Overnight, Vice President Kamala Harris taking aim at new comments from Trump after he said the military should be called if necessary to deal with people from within.
I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military. Because they can't let that happen.
We know who Donald Trump is.
Harris sounding the alarm.
He is someone who will stop at nothing to claim power for himself. And you don't have to take my word for it. I've said for a while now, watch his rallies. Listen to his words.
Tonight, it's not just Harris. Now a growing number of Republican officials who served under Trump are saying listen to what Trump is saying. Former Secretary of Defense Mark Esper.
So, yes, I think we should take those words seriously.
Former UN Ambassador John Bolton late today.
It will be a retribution presidency, and it will not be just against extreme left-wingers. It will be against people who are Republicans and conservatives who stood against Trump.
And in Woodward's new book, retired General Mark Milley, Trump's former chairman of the Joint Chief, called Trump a fascist to the core and the most dangerous person to this country. And just tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris acknowledging the pressure she feels and the question she asks herself every night. Talking moments ago with radio host Charlamagne the God.
I feel an extraordinary weight of responsibility right now to do everything I can. I'm telling you, Charlamagne, when I go to bed at night, I almost every night, in addition to my prayers, will ask, have I done everything I could do today? This is a margin of error race. It's tight. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. But it's tight. And, you know, what is at stake is truly profound and historic, many would say.
David, more than 250,000 people turning out to vote early today in the state of Georgia. Those numbers shattering records. Donald Trump in this state tonight, Vice President Kamala Harris in Michigan. Both candidates on a blitz through the battleground states that will ultimately decide this election with just 21 days to go, David.
Rachel Scott reporting from a Trump rally in Georgia tonight. Rachel, thank you.